the next 1 hour, government unveils 4 naval patrol vessels to protect the country's marine resources.
International Tribunal of the Law of the Sea ruling between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire to be implemented.
Also, Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation considers possible banning of hazardous plastic use in the country.
And Ukraine's government hands out 18,000 machine guns to residents in Kiev for self-defense as Russian forces advance towards the country. Good evening, it's News Hour Live on GBC News and on GTV, also streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube of Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Samuela Kwote.
And my name is Clara Mlana. Robert Frimpong Manso will be our interpreter for tonight.
In detail, President Akufo-Addo has unveiled 4 naval patrol vessels to provide security and other support to oil and gas activities in Ghana's maritime domain.
Sea piracy and other security threats have been rife in the Gulf of Guinea in recent years.
In the first quarter of 2021, the Gulf of Guinea, according to the International Maritime Bureau, accounted for 43% of all reported piracy incidents. 33 vessels were boarded by criminals. There were 2 attempted attacks on vessels, 2 vessels were fired upon and 1 hijacked. Also, 40 crew members were kidnapped and 1 person died. Government, as part of efforts to provide effective security to the offshore oil and gas infrastructure, granted the Ministry of Defense and the Ghana Navy their proposal to enter into a lease agreement with the Israeli Shipyard Limited for the lease of the security vessels. The new vessels will replace previous arrangement of using private security vessels manned by naval personnel in providing security services. The use of the 4 offshore security vessels, classified as river-class vessels and christened GNS Volta, GNS Densu, GNS Ancobra and GNS Pra, cost Ghana over $40 million, with GCB Bank PLC as the sole financier. President Akufo-Addo said the security threat around the world, particularly what pertains in the Gulf of Guinea, makes it imperative to retool and equip the Ghana Navy to protect the country's territorial waters. He said illegal, unregulated and unreported fishing and piracy, among others, have become a major concern, which calls for deliberate policy of investment in the Ghana Armed Forces to be able to protect the country and its marine resources. The president further indicated that the establishment of forward operating bases in the northern part of Ghana and in the western region are all aimed at checking and preventing violent extremism and terrorism, which are rife in the Sahel region, from spreading to other countries such as Ghana. He said government is in the process of acquiring fighter jets and other logistics for the Ghana Armed Forces. The Minister for Defense, Mr. Dominic Nitiwul, appealed to Guineans to support proposals which seek to retool the military. The Managing Director of GCB Bank PLC, Mr. Kofi Edumako, called for collaboration among banks to handle transactions which greatly impact national development. Now, recent coup d'etats in the Sahel region and the sense of insecurity it generates have necessitated implementation of the 2017 ruling of the International Tribunal of the Law of the Sea between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. A just-ended meeting between the 2 countries was to operationalize and reaffirm land boundaries for common interests. The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Ms. Benito Usubio, called for collaboration between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire to ensure proper management of their boundaries.
2017, the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea ruled in favor of Ghana after a protracted maritime boundary dispute between the country and neighboring Côte d'Ivoire. However, there have been delays in the implementation of the ruling. The talks between both countries are focused on issues of cross-border cooperation in security, social, economic and other issues of common interest. Addressing the two-day meeting in Accra, National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, said there have been some challenges, including boundary pillars and landmarks, which both countries have to develop a framework towards addressing.
The Commission has over the few years been engaging our neighboring countries to build the necessary relationship, goodwill and consensus to enable Ghana live peaceful with its neighbors, including La Côte d'Ivoire, based on an agreed, defined international boundaries.
Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Benito Wusubio, reminded stakeholders on the need to take into consideration the human interest in the process.
All efforts towards proper boundary management are done in the interest of the people of the countries involved, and especially those directly affected along our boundary communities. Achieving all the set targets for this collaboration between Ghana and La Côte d'Ivoire cannot be done solely by the boundary commissions of both countries. Effort and support from various partners and stakeholders from both countries are key. I admonish you all to keep rendering support to the two boundary commissions of Ghana and La Côte d'Ivoire so as to ensure that our common boundaries are well managed and protected.
Executive Secretary of Côte d'Ivoire's National Border Commission, Mr. Diakalidia Konate, said the discussions will enhance trade between the two countries. The meeting is expected to end on February 25, 2022.
The Bono East Regional Police Command has arrested 3 suspects for the unlawful possession of guns and nation. The 3 suspects are Prosper Kwame Buaho, 25, an alleged security supervisor of Gaza Security, Kobina Domale, 47 years, security personnel of the alleged security company, and Jahle Kofi Anuamo Delali, alias Mark, a dealer in cashew nut. The Bono East Regional Police Relations Officer of the Ghana Police Service, ASP Amponsa Dankwa, spoke with our Bono East Regional Correspondent, Samuel Ayama, on the issue.
Lennon became suspicious when he met Prosper Kwame Buahon, the supposed police officer for the escort, with a pump action gun at the station. That's the Chiman, where he, the driver, was to pick him for the trip as arranged by the Mark, the cashew nut dealer. Police was immediately alerted, and the suspect was arrested with the said SB pump action gun and 22 BB live cartridges. Investigations revealed that the suspect is a self-styled security supervisor of Gaza Security, which does not even exist. One wishes to advise individuals and organizations in and around the region to exercise due diligence in order to avoid engaging any such unscrupulous entities in the name of providing security.
News continues. The Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation is considering phasing out the use of some hazardous plastics in the country. On a tour of some plastic recycle plants in Tema, the sector minister, Dr. Kwekwe Friye, said the ministry is interested in finding solutions to deal with plastics, especially single-use plastics and plastics under 20 microns.
A considerable number of the issues that contribute to the challenge of plastic waste include poor public attitudes, low resource mobilization for effective solutions, inadequate waste collection services, and insufficient recycling capacity, among others. Indiscriminate disposal of plastics into water bodies, drains, gutters have resulted in perennial floods across the country. Available data indicate that by 2050, there is likely to be more plastics in the ocean than fish if nothing is done about it. The major problem confronting Ghana is the single-use plastics or the under 20 microns plastics. As a measure to deal with the situation, the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation has been visiting some plastic recycle plants in Tema to gain first-hand information on the challenges affecting plastic waste recyclers and all others within the value chain. At Nelplast, where recycled plastics are used in molding bricks for construction, officials said the company requires some more assistance to be able to expand its operations and take more plastic waste.
Now, we are doing 3,000 kilos. Our collectors have the ability to collect about 20,000 kilos. So we need to expand to be able to recycle all the plastics waste that they bring to us on a daily basis. That's the 20,000 kilos. But if we turn them back or take it back because the place is full or we don't have the capacity, it discourages them and they stop doing the collection.
The minister also visited SRG Industries. Here, plastic waste is recycled into other household items. Currently, the company is employing biodegradable plastics in its production process. Managers of the company say they are ready to partner government to deal with the plastic waste menace. The minister and his team made a final stop at Zenith Plastics. The environment minister, Dr. Kwekwe Friye, said there is a need for an interministerial collaboration to promote the domestic recycling industry.
No country has even banned, universal plastics. You cannot survive. Even my vehicle which is on the drive, has plastics in them. So you don't ban them. It is when you target some, those under 20 microns that people are using to line kenke and things. That one, the assemblies can pass bylaws and ban them. And they will be enforced by the EPA. When they come, or even the sanitation department of the assemblies, when they come and we've lined your kenke with those under 20 microns, they destroy them. And that will come under law. So that one is a form of a ban.
The Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation says there are discussions on the possibility of establishing a circular economy framework for plastics and partnering with all stakeholders to create awareness as well as community engagement to deal with plastic waste menace in the country.
A 5-member committee to review a preliminary report on the divesting of vested lands has been constituted in Accra. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Jinapor, committed to ensure that protracted litigations and divesting of all stool, family, clan and individual lands are addressed based on equity.
By lawyer and Member of Parliament for Asante Achim North, Mr. Andy Kwame Apiakubi, the committee's work involves reviewing the preliminary Yemedi Committee's report, which looked into the current status of vested lands and divesting of lands in Ghana. The sector minister, Mr. Samuel Jinapor, asked the committee to present a transparent, truthful and professional report to guide President Akufo-Addo on the needed reforms for the country's land management system.
Our duty is to assist the president in this regard, and we will do all our best to ensure that each stool, clan, family or individual affected by the vesting of their lands receive just consideration of the matters in issue. President Akufo-Addo and his government are determined to do right to all stools, clans, families, and individuals across the country by resolving this age-old problem once and for all.
Mr. Kwame Appiah-Kubi pledged that the committee would carry out its duty with utmost diligence. The other members of the committee are Mr. Kumbana Alhajina Abu Idrisu, Dr. Woolsworth Odamilabi, Mr. Dennis Eje Jumo, and Mr. Maxwell Edu. Also at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources was the European Union Ambassador to Ghana, Mr. Echid Razali. He and the minister discussed Ghana's readiness to implement the voluntary partnership agreement and her preparedness for the issuance of the forest law enforcement governance and trade.
This will give Ghana the opportunity to be the second nothing, which gives you an edge over the other timber producing countries, and which will secure access to the European market.
Our commitment towards ensuring that the timber resources of our country are utilized and exploited sustainably and in a manner that is in accord with the best international standards is totally unflinching.
The EU-Ghana voluntary partnership was signed in 2009 to develop systems to control, verify and license legal timber for the domestic and international markets.
We now go to Parliament, where the Deputy Majority Leader in Parliament, Mr. Alexander Afenyomarkin, has denied, saying that passing the e-levy puts the government in a better position to evacuate Ghanaians in war-hit Ukraine. Mr. Afenyomarkin, who is also the MP for Efutu, has been reported by some media houses to have urged the minority in Parliament to support the passage of the e-levy to help raise more revenue for exercises of such nature. The statement generated mixed reactions in Parliament on Friday.
We were here yesterday. The video can be watched in less than 5 minutes. We've watched it. I have gone an extra mile to procure. If today my colleague thinks that it is not proper for us to proceed for Joy FM to pull down this story and apologize, and that we should continue to allow it to stay on because he thinks that we have leadership. You never said leadership should meet. Mr. Speaker, let us be fair. I am saying this not only for myself, for all of us, including you. It is not fair. We sit here as leaders, and if he thinks it is me and it is not him, I will take it as it is. But Mr. Speaker, I implore you to look at the situation and make the appropriate directive without further subjecting this to undue procedural roadblocks, because facts are facts.
I can say on authority, yesterday I wasn't here. I've listened to the tape like 10 times. Was Ukraine evacuation mentioned? Yes, it was mentioned. Was levy mentioned? Yes, it was mentioned. So you see, you don't determine the editorial policy of a news portal. You may not be happy. You can write to either media commission and raise your concern. But I can bet you, the video is here, I can forward it to you. You mention Ukraine evacuation and you link it to e-levy approval. Here.
What I'm saying is that Joy News and other media houses, if you have heard this and you know you went beyond board, you can do the needful. But my ruling still stands that leadership will meet and discuss it.
Key interest groups in the pensions industry are calling for an in-depth assessment of the National Pensions Act to 8 Act 766 11 years after it came into being. Act 766 is the principal pensions act in Ghana and has existed since January 1, 2010, which seeks to ensure a universal pension scheme for all employees. Act 766 introduced the contributory Tier 3 pension scheme.
As to the pension scheme, going forward, You remember that when it was announced that we will start in January 2020, TUC position was that no, because as the consultant rightly said, one of the aims of the new pension scheme was to enhance the retirement package. So if it's coming and the new that is supposed to enhance is not as much as the existing, then why should I go for the new? And TUC position was that even if one worker was going to be worse off or receive less, no. The simple reason is that we didn't start the investment of the monies early. And these things take time.
In 2020, people actually began retiring under Act 766. So it is time for us to really retreat and assess the performance of the three-tier pension system. There were two objectives. The first objective was to enhance retirement benefit to Ghanaian workers. The second objective was to set uniform rules, regulations, and standards for the administration and payment of benefits. I think we have to, at this point, look at the economic and the social well-being of the Ghanaian retiree 11 years after the operationalization of the Act 766.
The government of Japan has provided a grant facility totaling $269,141 to 3 district assemblies under its grant assistance for grassroots human security projects. The grant, according to the government, is to help improve the living standards of the inhabitants in the beneficial communities.
The 3 assemblies whose proposals were considered under the Grants Assistance for Grassroots Human Security Project were the German South Municipal Health Assembly, which was given an amount of $90,340 to build a health center at Bibiania. $90,426 has been earmarked for the construction of a CHIPS compound at Amankwakro in the Sunafo South District in the Hafu region and the construction of a classroom block at Apunapun in the Chifu Etimokwa District in the Central region, valued at $88,375. The projects in the selected assemblies, according to the government of Japan, are expected to improve the livelihood of the over 17,000 people in the targeted assemblies. Representatives of the beneficial assemblies were grateful to Japan for the support. They, however, promised to use the grant for the purposes for which the monies were provided for the 3 districts. Japan's ambassador to Ghana, Mr. Mochizuki Hisanabu, spoke to GBC News.
There are a lot of proposals from various communities in the country. Then we have selected 3 communities in 3 different regions simply because of the good proposals they have assured the sustainability of the project.
Each year, under the Grant Assistance for Grassroots Human Security Project, the government of Japan provides funding to support between 5 and 8 projects to empower communities in Ghana. Gifty AJ, GBC News, Accra.
Are booking their tickets to Spain under the Trawenum Nako Spain promotion. Rosie Chan from Tuba in Accra and Aisha Zakaria from Nima are winners of the 5th edition, while Joseph Upuni Frimpong from Edriso in the Shanti region and Peace Avedida from Tema in the Greater Accra region have just won the 6th edition.
For the past 3 months, hundreds of lucky Ghanaians have won in the Trawenum Nako Spain promotion. The promotion from GB Foods seeks to reward consumers of its Gino and Pomo range of products. In all, 10 ultimate winners will have the opportunity to travel to Spain with their partners in an all-expenses paid promo. While in Spain, the winners will have an opportunity to watch La Liga matches from the VIP stand. This batch of winners now brings the total number of ultimate winners to 10. They are the lucky ones back on the trip to Spain with a partner of their choice. The general manager of GB Foods, Mr. David Aflu, congratulated all the winners for their participation and support in making the promotion a huge success.
For our consumers in Ghana, we want to thank you for your participation in this promotion, and we want to say Gino really cares, Gino is grateful. Thank you very much.
The Chief Executive of GB Foods African Region, Mr. Viseng Bosch, also thanked Ghanaians for the massive participation in the promotion.
Consumers are the most important thing we have. This is very important for us. We spend a lot of time, we spend a lot of efforts to try to make our consumers happy, trying to develop the best product for them, and trying to make sure that Gino is their most loved brand.
In addition to this, 153 persons are receiving prizes such as fridges, flat-screen TVs, smartphones, PS5, gas cookers, blenders and original La Liga jerseys in prize presentations happening across the country.
This is News Hour live on GBC News and on GTV, also streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back with more stories. Please don't go away.
Hello, you're watching the business news brought to you by Quick Credit and MTN. My name is Esther Eidu Ohumeu. The African Chamber for Trade and a group of companies executives called the Business Executive have met in Accra to discuss how to take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
The leadership and networking workshop allowed participants to examine challenges facing businesses in Ghana and find solutions to them. They also discussed ways members can support one another in business and find new ways to leverage on opportunities presented by the AFCFTA. Speaking on the topic linking on to leadership advantages to create and deliver value for constructive changes in the fast-paced 21st century, Professor Mrs. Goski Alabi, a member of the African Chamber for Trade (ACT), stressed on what she calls the 3 C's, that is competition, customers and change.
Organizations and institutions are your customers, and how you manage them would go a long way to affect your leadership. When it comes to the competition and when it comes to change, often the customer may not know what they want, with the exception of, say, regulatory bodies, so forth and so on. So we need to think ahead for the customer based on changing trends, based on changing demographics and a number of behavioral trends in the environment specifically, but also based on the competition.
The host of the chief executives at the forum feel Ghana's government must do more to create the needed environment for private businesses to thrive, for more jobs to be created. The forum was also used to inaugurate Ghana's chapter of the Business Executive.
Importers do not expect a reduction in the price of imported goods despite a proposed 30% reduction in the invoice of general goods and a 10% discount for imported vehicles. They say that taxes, fees and charges and the depreciation of the cedi is likely to erode the gains of reduction. The government has reviewed the 2019 decision that allowed a 50% tax waiver on imported goods and 30% on cars. After months of agitation and weeks of consultation with the country's business community on the benchmark values reduction policy, government has finally settled on a 30% discount for all goods and 10% for vehicles. This follows engagement with relevant unions who were against a complete removal of the 50% reduction.
People are confusing the reduction of 30% of the invoice value to be a reduction of duty. No. Rather, the duty is going to go up, but it's not going to go up as much as it would have been if the 50% have been totally reversed. It means that if your invoice value is 100,000, under the present dispensation, 50% will be applied. It means that the invoice value will come to 50,000 before they take the duty.
Despite the reduction, importers do not expect any major reduction in imported goods. Samson Awingobit is the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association.
2 years ago, the dynamics, the conditions that was prevailing, that you gave benchmark value discount to the business community is still even worsening. As we speak, dollar is in the bank, in the commercial rate, is about 6.3, 6.4. Cannot tell the price will increase. But there's cost element. As we speak, petroleum product has gone up, transport fare has gone up by 15%, isn't it? And so I strongly believe that we are at the situation whereby all of us will have to discipline ourselves, isn't it?
The idea behind the reduction was to increase tariff at the ports and ultimately increase government revenue, while importers and exporters, freight forwarders, as well as the Ghana Union of Traders Association praised the government policy, which led to a reduction in the cost of doing business in Ghana. Groups such as the Association of Ghana Industries were concerned about the adverse impacts of the policy on the competitiveness of their products. Nevertheless, government went ahead with its implementation. As of 2021, Ghana could boast of 5.8 million residential structures as against 3.3 million residential structures in 2010. The Ghana Statistical Service says the increase in the residential structures represents 72.8% jump over the 2010 figures.
Ghana Statistical Service released the final general report of the 2021 Population and Housing Census in 5 volumes. Highlights from the volumes are 3G, Information and Communication Technology, 3H, Fertility and Mortality, 3K, Housing Characteristics, 3M, Water Sanitation, and 3N, Structures. From the report, the proportion of vacant dwelling units is highest in the Western North region, that's 16.3%, followed closely by Volta region, 14.8%, and Greater Accra region, recording 14.6%. Also, 92% households have access to improved sources of drinking water. That's a higher proportion, higher in urban areas with 97.8% than rural areas, constituting 83% households.
One area that has attracted a lot of policy concern is housing deficit. For the first time, we're seeing a reversal in the housing deficit by 33 percentage points. This points to possibly some of the interventions that are happening both from the governmental point of view and from the private sector point of view.
Data from the general report also highlights sachet water as the predominant source of drinking water in Greater Accra with a 70.7% rate and the least used in Northeast region, recording only 1.8%. The Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Mrs. Cecilia Dapa, mentioned government water projects which will provide 6.4 million people with access to clean water across the country.
We are going to have a new treatment plant that will give us 135,000 cubic meters of water, and this will be in Tamale.
The Minister for Works and Housing, Mr. Francis Asensubuachi, called on estate developers to build more affordable housing units for Ghanaians to reduce the housing deficit.
Beyond looking at the overall housing deficit, our next interest will be to dig further and look into the quality of housing.
The general report also states that 3 in 10 persons who are 6 years and older do not own any functional ICT device. Males dominate in the use of all ICT devices except in the use of non-smart mobile phones, which is slightly higher among females, that's 34.5%, with the male population recording a 32.6%.
Let's have the interbank and commodity figures for the day. Be back quick credit at MTN. Thanks for watching.
Good evening, and this is the energy segment. My name is Mabel Anam. Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent an already volatile oil market into overdrive, with both WTI and Brent crude breaking the $100 a barrel mark. Energy analysts are of the view that if Russia is sanctioned, crude oil markets would experience the worst crisis ever. Energy analyst Dr. Yusuf Suleimana said if the Russia-Ukraine conflict persists, oil prices may escalate.
Russia is the second largest producer of crude oil in the world, with a production capacity of about 560 million tons annually. The current geopolitical war between Russia and Ukraine has led to concerns about disruptions in global energy supply. Oil prices jumped more than 9%. The Russian invasion. Energy analyst Dr. Yusuf Suleimana fears sanctions on Russia may lead to further escalation of crude oil prices.
Every energy consumer nation, should be worried about the development that we have within Russia and then Ukraine. Why should be a cause to worry? This incident is coming into a market that was already having what we call supply deficit, in the sense that the market was already hot. The upstream, I think we had it around 80 to 90, even before this escalation happened. And the reason being that, after COVID, the investment into the world of hydrocarbon didn't come back to normalcy. And so that deficit has been there for a very long time. That has catapulted oil price to some heights. So this Russian crisis is coming to just exacerbate the situation.
Dr. Suleimana spoke on how the war will affect Ghana's oil market.
Yes, the pumps will go higher, undoubtedly. Three things go into the pump calculation. We have the taxes, oil prices, and then the exchange rate. None of these three things are working to the favor of the consumer. The wild card here is just the oil prices that is skyrocketing the pump price. When oil prices are escalating, Ghana, we are fortunate to be an exporter and a consumer of petroleum product at the same time. So in situations where a nation finds itself in that way, you have to be able to link up your upstream and downstream seamlessly. If you do that, the windfalls within the upstream can be cascaded to the downstream to cool the pumps.
Fuel prices at the pumps are likely to break the 8 Ghana cedis projected by energy think tanks. At the pumps today, Total and Shell are trading petrol and diesel at 7 cedis 99 pesos a litre, the highest in recent times.
Now, the independent power producers, IPPs, have written off about $600 million out of the $1.4 billion debt owed by government. The debt forgiveness accounting set-offs and a review exercise. Chamber of Independent Power Producers boss, Dr. Elikplim Apetogbo, confirmed this development.
In a statement signed by the CEO of the Chamber of Independent Power Producers, Dr. Elikplim Kobla Apetogbo, the IPPs said their legitimate pressure on governments to have their overdue receivables paid has yielded positive results through win-win discussions. Deputy Minister for Energy, Mr. William Oweku Edu, announced the settlements on the floor of Parliament while responding to questions on the power sector. The settlements came as a result of the debt cancellations via accounting set-offs amounting to over $600 million.
I must commend the Honorable Energy Minister for the good leadership and for creating a good working relationship between the IPPs and the Ministry of Energy to have issues from a business perspective and with wisdom. That has yielded these results you see today. And I think the IPPs deserve a public commendation for that kindness.
The IPPs prayed that there will not be any interference in the current structure of revenue disbursement and allocation in the future.
Let's take power generation, where Ghana exported 4.3424 gigawatt hours of power to neighboring countries in the last 24 hours. Overall hydro, thermal and solar generation was 66.2908 gigawatt hours within the period. Here are some more details. For hydro energy generated in the past 24 hours, Akosombo recorded 19.1120 gigawatt hours, Bon 3.1370 gigawatt hours, and Bui 5.0644 gigawatt hours. Here is what functional thermal power producers contributed to the generation mix. The hydropower plant produced 27.3134 gigawatt hours. Operational thermal power plant contributed 38.6843 gigawatt hours, and total solar generation was 0.2931 gigawatt hours. Total power generation was 66.2908 gigawatt hours in the last 24 hours. For hydrology, the water level in the Akosombo Lake was 81.083 meters, below the maximum level of 84.73 meters, while the level in the Bui Dam was 174.900 meters, below the maximum elevation of 183 meters in the last 24 hours.
Time now for health, brought to you by Back to Bigos Premium Gifts Africa. Now, health ministers from the West are meeting at an extraordinary summit